We will go to Sunday's games now, and a decent, maybe 7 out of 10 doubleheader on Super Sunday. We'll start with Bournemouth versus Chelsea and take a look at the betting we have at matchbook.com. And competitive game here, Bournemouth 4.8 at home, Chelsea 1.78. The draw is currently 4.2. The agent, both teams to score, yes, 1.69 a game. Common theme in the Premier League, no, 2.32. The Asian handicap line sees Bournemouth get a 3/4 of a goal head start if you're betting on that. 1.96 currently. The goal line here, 2.5. But again, heavily favoured towards the over at about 1.69. So, Mark, back to you over in this one. I know pre-season you were high enough on Bournemouth. Not that it hasn't happened for them this season, but there's maybe been 1 or 2 poor performances in the 4 games. It's going to take a bit of time for this new style to blend in, I guess.
Yeah, it will. When you consider the previous 2 coaches were much more measured and composed in their sort of defensive setup, and Iraola is a bit more up and at 'em. It's going to take time to gel. They are going to be growing pains along the way. They have been probably as chaotic as we anticipated at the start of the season. There's been a lot to like and also dislike about their start. It's been quite tough on paper, but I think they've competed reasonably well for the most part. Perhaps the match against Spurs disappointed the most because they didn't land too many blows. They looked a little bit impotent in possession there. But elsewhere, I think they've been quite fun and quite entertaining. And Iraola said after the Brentford game that this is a game that could have had anything happen. And that's kind of been a bit of a theme, really, because they could have been 3-0 up at Anfield and then lost against 10 men. They could have been 3-0 down against Brentford and then sort of ended up leading that game and then still failed to win. So I think we'll continue to see more of the same for quite a while, actually. I think this will be a theme of Bournemouth season, the chaos. And, as I say, they are transitioning to a completely different playing style. They're bedding in 2 new fullbacks, 2 new central midfielders, and the central defenders who've started the season had only started together twice before the start of this campaign too. So growing pains are going to happen. They will get better. I think Tyler Adams is getting closer to full fitness. Alex Scott is a bit further away, but there are positive long-term signs, I believe. They're still going to be involved in that bottom half battle, but I would still kind of give them a puncher's chance in games like this against Chelsea, who have looked... It's hard to get a read on Chelsea at the minute because at times you think, the start of the season, that performance against Liverpool, especially in the second half, was quite exciting. But since then, there's been sort of flickers of what Pochettino's trying to achieve. But ultimately, it's 1 win. That was against Luton from 4 fixtures. That's just going to ramp up pressure even more, despite, this policy of signing young players. It's just going to be a continuing kind of revolving door at the minute at Chelsea, unless they allow him some time to bed down a system that's going to work. But when you lose at home to Nottingham Forest, questions are going to be asked. And, at times it's been familiar flaws for Chelsea. Lots of the ball, speculative shots from distance. When they have created good high margin opportunities, they've lacked that finishing touch from a centre forward with consistency and possibly an age profile, which, is available elsewhere in sort of big 6 clubs. So I'm not saying Chelsea aren't going to sort of turn their campaign around from here. And clearly, like Bournemouth, the only way should be up, considering what they've got at their disposal. But I'm not sure I want to be backing them at 178 away at Bournemouth. I still think it's a bit trappy. I said the same when Spurs went there, and obviously Tottenham played brilliantly and deservedly won that match. Chelsea could do the same, but for the minute I need to sort of reserve my judgment on them. So I thought goals was the way to play this. And as you said, Dan, the price is on BTTS 169. The price on over 2.5 is 169. The correct score favourites are 1-1 and Chelsea to win this match 2-1. Wouldn't disagree with any of that, but I just think the opportunity to back over 2.5 goals and BTTS in a combination at 191 is good. It's nice. This was even money actually on Tuesday morning, annoyingly, but it's already been clipped in. So yeah, I just think both teams are giving up opportunities. Both teams have the ability to get forward and create chances and score goals. So I think it will be quite open. I think it will be quite an attractive game. As you say, it's about a 7 out of 10 double header on Super Sunday. I think this will be the more appeasing game to follow. I think it will be goal heavy, and therefore I'm happy to back the goals based bet. I would have, if we had an opportunity to back over 2 3/4 goals here, I think that would be absolutely my favourite play in this match. But I'll combine BTTS and over 2.5 goals here because basically, if you look at the individual prices for BTTS and overs, it's saying there's a 61% chance of each selection landing independently. So I'll kind of happily package the 2 together and back almost close to even money basically on the 2. So yeah, goals for me.
Okay, yeah, 10 to 11 in all money, 1.91 over 2.5 in both teams to score. Yes, if you combine the 2. Goal is the preferential bet for Mark O'Hare. Adrian, over to you on Chelsea, and Mark sort of touched on it there. Like, I see the way Pochettino's improved Raheem Sterling, for example. He looks as good as ever, to be honest with you. I don't think that's an exaggeration in 4 games. But I also look then at the way he's maybe struggled to get Caicedo into the team playing really good football in a couple of games. Where are you at with Chelsea at the moment? It's sort of good positives and negatives. Again, Reece James being injured, he might be back, that sort of thing. Chilwell playing left mid. There's loads to talk about.
Yeah, it's very much a work in progress, isn't it? Obviously, a big disappointment to lose at home to Forest. That was a bit of a shocker from them. But yeah, I've seen enough positive signs to say that they're better than they were at the end of last season. They couldn't be any worse, could they? I mean, they were so bad, weren't they, Chelsea? But yeah, no, I think Pochettino is getting a bit more out of the players. The attitude looks good. And the numbers aren't bad, actually. I know they haven't had a rock hard start, but they've faced the 3rd fewest shots, Chelsea. Their XGA, so expected goals against, is also the 3rd best in the division. And then you flip it around to the other end of the pitch. They've actually got a lot of expected goals. I think 8.42, which ranks them 4th. They've had the 2nd most touches inside the opposition box as well, Chelsea. So at both ends of the pitch, they're having their moments. They're just maybe not being as ruthless as they should be. Jackson's missed a few chances. It's probably say the same about several of the players, really. So I think there is a team developing there, but you can't bank on them and that, week in, week out to deliver. I fancy them here because I'm not that impressed by Bournemouth, especially defensively. Obviously, they're winning the ball higher at the pitch. I did a piece analysing Bournemouth. It's not out yet, but statistically, they're winning the ball back so much better. They're so much harder to play against in terms of their hostile press, Bournemouth, as expected under Andoni Iraola. But teams are also carving them open. They're playing around that press. And when they do, just look through the highlights of Bournemouth games since the start of the season, and you will see a collection of clips where that new look back 4 are sprinting back towards their own goal, faced up by a 3v3 or a 4v3 or something like that. So many chances they've conceded, so many goals that they've conceded have come about in a similar way. And I just think Chelsea are good enough to play through them. They've got Enzo Fernandez who can play those longer passes over the top as well. Got a real high line, Bournemouth, obviously, because they're going to press and squeeze. And that high line, I think, can be exposed by Sterling and by Nicholas Jackson. So I do lean towards Chelsea here. I get Mark's point about the price. It is a bit skinny. So what I've done, just to make it slightly more palatable, is back Chelsea in over 1.5 goals. Now, Mark was all over the goals. So I think it's unlikely that there's just one goal in the game. So if over 1.5 is almost a sure thing, then to get Chelsea on side, it just bumps it up to 2.08. So, that's what I fancy. I just think that Bournemouth aren't quite there yet. There's going to be more of these teething issues. And as Tottenham showed, and as Brentford should have put them outside, really. So I think the last couple of games, they've been carved open too easily. So, and I think Chelsea are capable of opening them up. So, that's my pick.
Yeah, the team for the guys, they're going to be goals. But yeah, I will lean with Adrian, Chelsea over